Hey, welcome back to the channel. And I have, yes, the Nakajima WPT-150 in front of me. We've covered a whole series of videos about this typewriter. There's a playlist I'll link down below in the description area. But let's see, the last video I did about this, we addressed one of the remaining nagging issues that I had with this machine, which is I thought the keyboard tension, that is, the force required to press the keys, was too light. And it was so light, in fact, that with just a little bit of sloppiness, I could easily press keys that I didn't want to, causing typographical errors. And I addressed that by acquiring some springs that were much stiffer than the originals and adding them to the original springs in here. Much stiffer keyboard now, and with the typing I've been doing on it, much less typographical errors. I am really pleased with the way it feels now. But there is one remaining issue I'd like to address with this typewriter, and it's actually common to all the Daisywheel typewriters that I've tried, including like my brother SX4000, which is when you do a lift-off correction. These have correction tape. They can lift off the carbon film imprint. Most papers I've tried, after you do the lift-off correction, there is a ghost image remaining in the paper from the embossing effect of the letters being impressed into the paper at the time they were printed. And in some cases, with some papers, this ghost image is so evident that it becomes just as unsightly as the typographical error itself. So I was interested in, well, can I reduce the impact force of the little solenoid that hits the print wheel? Well, I didn't really see a way to do that easily without modifying too much the machine. And I also wanted to have a more universal solution, not just to this machine, but to the other Daisywheel machines I have as well. And as it turns out, I just took a number of different kinds of paper and tested them with lift-off correction to see which ones were the best, and I come up with a surprising conclusion. So this is conventional, inexpensive printer paper or copy paper, the kind you would use in your printer, like a laser printer. On top is a lift-off erasing test, and it's very prominent, the embossing is. And now in the middle of the picture is 3 different impression tests. So the Nakajima WPT-150 has high, medium, or low impression force, and I've done one of each setting and then done the lift-off correction after it. And you can see obviously that the high impression gives the most embossing, medium is middle, and low is the lowest. So clearly the embossing effect is related to the typing force. And on this inexpensive printer copy paper, it's very prominent. The erased letters and words stand out quite noticeably. So this is white construction paper, which I've had a lot of good luck with using on manual typewriters with fabric ribbons. So this is, again, an erasing test with the WPT-150 Nakajima. And the erasing is actually okay, but the paper gets so deeply embossed that the letters take on a three-dimensional quality, and it is certainly not invisible. It is very prominent and detracts from the appearance of the typed letters. Okay, this is resume paper, very thick, nice typing paper, and I have erased the letter A from both of these words, erase. And you can see that the embossed letter A is still visible in the paper. This is with the Nakajima WPT-150. And now, in contrast with the previous tests, this is newsprint paper. And on the top line between the quote marks is the word test that has been typed on the Nakajima and lift-off erased. And I am currently side lighting this paper with a handheld light source in order to exaggerate and accentuate any textures to the paper. And as you can probably tell, the evidence of any typed letters between the quote marks is completely absent. Of the papers I have tested, this newsprint paper seems to be the only one that you can do lift-off corrections to, and it doesn't show any embossing. And for this reason, I've been using newsprint paper commonly with my Daisywheel typewriters now. So I also performed this same erasing embossing test with this newsprint type of children's paper. This is the kind that school grade children might learn to print onto. And it's another brand of newsprint paper, and it looks like it also has the same quality. You can erase it and it will not show the embossing from the printed letters. Well, one of the reasons why it was surprising to me to find that newsprint paper worked so well with lift-off correction and not having any embossing in the paper was because in one of the earlier videos, I was using some very inexpensive off-brand of ribbons in the Nakajima here, and that more toothy, raggy paper, that poor quality ribbon left a poor imprint. Not all of the parts of the letters would print properly. But that ended up being an issue not with the paper, but it was an issue with those off-brand inexpensive ribbons, which if you check the video out, I'll link it down below. I recommend buying the Nakajima brand ribbon cartridges, by the way. They seem to work so much better. And if you saw that video, you know that the actual, if you backlight the ribbon itself, it's a plastic film with this carbon film on it. You backlight the ribbon. The original Nakajima ribbons are very dense, almost opaque, but the off-brand ribbons are like a light gray and they're very translucent. You can see through the ribbon. So the carbon film material on those off-brand ribbons are very thin and not well made. So all of that to say that it surprised me that the newsprint paper works so well, not only for the print quality, but for the lift-off correction. And I can only assume, and this is my little theory, that when the letters are printed on the paper, the fibers of the newsprint paper take the impact and then they expand out again without staying crushed or pressed in. So they don't really show the embossing at all. The paper that showed it the worst was actually the inexpensive copy paper that I use in a laser printer, just the cheap stuff. And it looks like this paper is rather bright white. And it looks like there is a layer of sizing or whatever on the surface of that paper that gets lifted off a little bit when you do the lift-off correction, and it makes the embossed letters look a little darker gray, which accentuates the appearance of the embossing. And so even the white construction paper that I have a lot of luck with using with manual typewriters that have fabric ribbons, that didn't fare as well either. I like that construction paper, though, for manual typewriters because it acts like its own backing paper and it absorbs the ink quite well from a fabric ribbon. But my recommendation is, at least of the papers I've tried, this newsprint paper seems to work better than even the higher quality Southworth resume papers. I haven't tried all the papers though, so if you have one of these typewriters and you have a variety of papers, try it out. Do some lift-off correction tests with various papers and see which one you like. I will drop a link down below if I find the link to the newsprint paper that I'm currently using. I bought it a few years ago, so it may be a different brand that I'll be listing, but I'll try to find a link for the US letter size newsprint paper, and I really recommend it for these Daisywheel typewriters, not just the Nakajima, but the Brothers and all the others. It just seems to do a much better job. Well, at this point, I really don't see any further concerns or issues at all with this Nakajima. As you might remember from the very beginning video in this series, this was an experiment to find a new typewriter, a brand new typewriter being sold retail or online that has a warranty and is newly manufactured and has ribbons and print wheels available. That's what these Nakajimas are. I believe the Swintech brand is made by Nakajima as well, so you might see those out there as well. But that's the conclusion of this series up to now. I'm happy with the key tension now on the keyboard now that I've increased the spring tension. I have a paper that corrects beautifully without evidence of any errors being present, and it's just a lovely typewriter to use, lightweight, easy to carry, just need a place to plug it in. Well, as always, this is all about creative writing and having these tools at our availability that we can get offline and do the work of creating directly to paper. And I wish you the very best in your creative pursuits. And as always, stay creative and have yourselves a great day. And bye-bye for now.